You haven't had debt for 35 years. Do you think not having debt is a math decision or a personality decision?
I'm a really old school person. Never had car payments. I never did any of that stuff. If you don't have debt, you're not paying interest. Even if you don't make a lot of money, you can still make progress and accumulate wealth. My dad died in April 10th of 93. I ended up buying this property right after he had died because I said, you know what, I'm just going to go buy some. I'm going to figure a way of buying this. Even though I don't have a lot of money right now, we'll make it.
Did you feel like you got a fair deal, good deal?
Oh, I got a good deal.
Of course he did.
At that time, it was $340 an acre. And, you know, my friends were like,
That's three digits.
Why are you buying hunt land? You can hunt anywhere for free. I said, that's not going to last. I'm telling
Right.
you. The
Yeah.
future's going to be, if you don't know land, you won't have nowhere to go. Well, now those same friends, some of them, they don't have nowhere to hunt.
Yeah. All right, we're finishing up our first Whitetail Crib Shoots of 2026. What did you guys think?
It was fun. It was interesting. I've never had anybody come here and do that except maybe one other time when Kate and I did a show a long time ago when she was young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. It's good. I can see what you do and how you like it.
Yeah, it's fun to hear everyone's stories. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought it was fun. And it was like, we just have so many stories. It's like crazy to try to look back at them all
Yeah.
in one shot. There's a lot.
I counted. There was like $14 in the other room, and I think there's almost 20 in this room. Is that right? Roughly.
Something like that. Yeah.
So a lot of stories, but this is the Land Podcast. The Whitetail Cribs will go live on the Whitetail channel this fall, and we're going to record a couple other episodes. But this is about land. We're sitting on a piece of land that is very near and dear to both of your hearts, and a big part of your family, childhood memories, even to where you guys are today. But before we get into all of that, just take a second to introduce both of yourselves. I don't want to botch, who you guys are. So I'll let you talk about yourselves for a second.
First name Jeff, last name Helmers. I grew up hunting, fishing, trapping. When I was a kid on Saturdays and Sunday mornings, I was on the creek line at 5 a.m. in the morning. And all my brothers were still sleeping in bed all day on Saturday. It's just something I've always liked, and it's something I do. And deer have always been, you could say, a passion or my fascination. I just find you never know everything about them. You continuously learn every year. I find it interesting.
Yeah. Well, and I think his passion rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, we're going to go to the cabin every weekend or, every Sunday, and just getting into it young as a kid. So I'm his daughter, Cathryn Howland, and I've been hunting since I was 6 with you, like 30 years now, practically. I don't know. We just have a lot of fun.
Yeah. And you're a real estate professional by trade.
Yes. I'm a realtor at Remax Results in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about real estate. Jeff, what you mentioned earlier, just within a few minutes of being in here, you haven't had debt for 35 years. The Land Podcast is very debt heavy. Most of these guys are not doing this with cash. Do you think not having debt is a math decision or a personality decision?
I'm a really old school person. I grew up learning from my dad. All his brothers were my uncles, and they were all in the car business, the salvage business. So I learned so much from them. I seen the mistakes they made in life. And I said, you know something? If you don't have debt, you're not paying interest. Even if you don't make a lot of money, you can still make progress and accumulate wealth. So the sooner I got out of debt, the better off I would be.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I wanted to get out of debt right away. I was telling Jake, I've never had car payments. I never did any of that stuff. If I needed a car, I had to have the money. Because where I grew up in Minnesota, it was a small town of like 350. And back in those days, nobody bought new vehicles. You just never did unless you were rich. Everybody bought used vehicles. If you see someone with a new vehicle, that you knew they had money. Or they built this big giant house, you knew they had money. Now, people buy a house. It doesn't mean they got money. They just owe money. There's a big difference. Back then, you knew who had money and who didn't because you could judge it by that. Now, anybody can have a new car, a new truck, a new house. It's just different. So, but I like being out of debt.
Yeah.
How did that impact you growing up? Because I assume that was something that was, I'm sure you preached that, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. So my sister and I had multiple, small little businesses that we'd start. my mom's ran an in-home daycare. So the parents were the subject of our newest little business venture. We did all kinds of them. I had I had a babysitting business. I would pick blackberries at 5 a.m. and sell them. I did all sorts of stuff.
Don't you remember you guys? They'd have a concert out in the driveway, and they'd sell tickets to come to the concert. And they were out there singing
art
and
shows,
dancing.
carnivals, concerts, plays, you name it. We were coming up with something. But yeah, it taught us of like, okay, well, if you're going to turn 16 and you want to get a car, you better save up for it. Because you're not taking out a loan was not an option.
He didn't cut you guys a family deal with the dealership?
Well, he had already gotten out of it by then.
Okay.
So I saved up a good chunk, but I didn't have quite enough to get the car I wanted. So my younger sister saw that. And so she started working at 14 and was like, I want to get the car. I saw you. You didn't have the money to get the car you wanted. I want the car I want. So she started working at like the local restaurant, and they were like, okay, I guess we can hire you now that you're 14.
We hired your mother, and she was a really good worker, so we know you're a good worker too, probably.
In 1983. Yeah.
So she bought a car, had it licensed, had it sitting in the driveway, and she didn't have her license yet. All paid for.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then I think she got her license like 2 months later,
Wow.
I think the other thing that was taught was if you pay for this and you save up for it, you're going to take care of it.
Yeah.
You're going to take care of something a lot better than here you go. And you could, we had friends that had things handed to them and they didn't take care of it the same way.
And see, I also told them, once you get that car, it's not over. And they're like, what? You got to pay the insurance. You got to pay the license. You got to pay the gas. You got to pay to fix it if something happens. I said, you need more money than that. So my job as a parent is not to be your best friend. It's to teach you how to be an adult eventually. So someday when I'm not around, you're going to be able to take care of yourself. You don't need nobody. That was a big lesson, I thought. Something to learn. You know what I mean?
What did so we're sitting on 40 acres. Every deer that'll be featured on the Whitetail Crypto shot off this 40 acres. I mean, here on the Land Podcast, we've had people have buy smaller parcels, way bigger parcels. And so how, or I guess when did you decide like I want to buy a piece of ground? Because you bought this in the early 90s, which was before information like this was available. It was kind of just out of the norm. And that's probably not even a fair way to describe it. It was probably even more against the grain than that.
Well, we, like I said, I work with my dad and all my brothers. We all work together in a salvage business and a car business. And my dad and I always talked about getting some land and having a place for everybody to go and do things. Well, we just never took the time to take out and go and find something. And my dad died in April 10th of 93. Well, I ended up buying this property right after he had died because I said, you know what, I'm just going to go buy some. I'm going to figure a way of buying this. Even though I don't have a lot of money right now, we'll make it. And my wife was worried about it. Oh, boy, I don't know if we can afford. I said, honey, trust me, this will never be a bad thing. It'll always be worth more than we pay for it. And so really what I wanted by buying this, I wanted to build a cabin. I wanted to have a place for the kids, the grandkids, and family to have. Because that was me and my dad's kind of dream together. When I was a little kid, when I was 10, I always wanted my own land and a cabin. So I said, I'm going to do it. And then when I started to do it, I built the first side and I spent like $8,500. I did it with one of my brothers. And then as it progressed and I ran out of room, I didn't have enough room for all the deer, plus to do classes here when I started to want to do classes here. So I added onto the back part and started filling that room. And I just slowly progressed, did the kitchen one year. I just do little things. And I never borrow money. I just pay for it as I go, always. So I'm in my cabin cheap. I probably got $25,000 the whole place, but it's worth a heck of a lot more than I paid for it.
Yeah.
So, but it's something that I wanted to pass on to my family. That's what I really wanted.
Yeah. How did this piece come about?
There was a paper in our area. It was called Buyers Express. And this friend of mine, he ran the paper. I said, hey, put a little blip in there. I'm looking for land. Well, I got a few calls, and one guy calls me, and we're talking. He goes, boy, your voice sounds familiar. Who is this? And I told him, and he started to laugh. He goes, you don't believe this is Sam Marcus. Oh, jeez. I went to school with him. He was a year older than me. So I said, let's go look at it. So we got out here. And see, in the car business, when I used to go to the auto auctions like Metro Milwaukee or Minneapolis, when they run them cars through the ring at the big sales, you got about 20 seconds to buy one. So you better know what you're going to pay for it
Mm-hmm.
because it's bing, 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 sold. And that's how it works. So when I went and look at this property or I look at anything I want to buy, I make my decision immediately,
Mm-hmm.
just the way it has to be. So I came here, I walked around with him, I looked at everything. And I said, what do you want for it? And he told me, I said, tell you what, I give you this. If you take it, we'll shake hands. Okay. So we shook hands. I said, I'll have the money for you on Monday. And that's how quick it was.
Did you feel like you got a fair deal, good deal?
Oh, I got a good deal.
Of course he did.
At that time, it was $340 an acre.
Okay.
And you know, my friends are like,
That's three digits.
Why are you buying hunt land? You can hunt anywhere for free. I said, that's not going to last. I'm telling
Right.
you, the
Right.
future's going to be, if you don't know land, you won't have nowhere to go. Well, now those same friends, some of them, they
Don't
don't
have
have
a place to
nowhere to
go.
hunt.
Yeah.
That's right. You know,
Yeah, that's
interesting, right?
pretty hilarious. I mean, this is what you do for a living. I mean, the idea of putting an ad in the paper and someone calling you and then you're going there like, how's this sound? Yep. All right. Well, no
Yeah.
contract, handshake. We'll put it on a
Right.
napkin.
Comical, huh?
Right. Well, and even we can look back on when I remember you talking of like, oh, that's going to be $1,000 an acre now. And you're like, whoa. And then it was $2,000 an acre.
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
People thought it was crazy when it got to be $2,000.
Yeah.
Then it was $3,000. You're like, oh my God. I said, I told you guys, buy some land before it's never going to go down. It's
Mhm.
only going to go up.
Well, what do they say? The best time was before, and the second best time is
Now.
now.
Yeah.
Right.
So true.
True.
That's certainly.
So you know what my wife now says? That's the best investment we ever made.
Well,
I told you.
financially, and then also just from a family perspective too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably very
Here's-
easy to make that.
Here's another point. You know, I didn't want to invest a bunch of money into a property and a cabin and all this stuff and not make it nice enough for my family to use it, you know, because I feel like this, for me to use that much money of me and hers money, and it's just for me, just to hunt. I wanted to feel like she felt like it was worth it to her as well.
Sure.
So I wanted to make the cabin nice enough that she would want to come here and stay, or the kids as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what, like our grandkids, they think this is like going to Disneyland. They think it's the greatest. You know what I mean? They love
Oh,
coming
yeah.
Yeah. So you bought it, and there was this giant deer on it as soon as you bought it.
here. Boy, I wish. Here's a little bit of the story. So when I bought it, I found out that it had been hunted by a group of guys for years and years. They drove it, shot every deer they saw, buck, doe, everything. And all I had my first year was a yearling 6-point. That's the only buck I had on that place. And I was like, oh man, I'm starting from the bottom. Because when I used to hunt other states, I'd shot good deer. I knew what good deer were. I knew what it was like. But I said, okay, that's fine. You know, and all my uncles were telling me, oh, you ain't ever going to shoot a big deer on that place. That place, it's no good. It's too small. I didn't really listen. And that first year, the neighbors shot the 6-pointer. And the next year, I worked at putting in a bunch of food plots, which they weren't terms of food plots in. But I was thinking, if I can get enough food here, maybe I could get some of these deer to spend more time here. And I needed to figure out what it would be throughout the whole year, not just partial. And so this went on for like 3 straight years. Neighbors
Well-
shot every buck every time.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't big enough for me, but they were willing to kill them. So that's when I started thinking about, okay, I've got to figure out how to change the habitat.
Mm-hmm.
If I can change the habitat, then I can get a deer to give a reason to stay here. Okay. And that's before there was hinge cutting or any of this kind of stuff, you guys. I mean, I feel like I was 10, 15 years ahead of what everybody's now trying
Well,
to
I
do,
feel like you
know?
were doing so much of your own like research and experimentation
Yeah.
Mhm.
constantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we planted some peas together,
Did it all by hand with
and
a
it
hoe.
took us like hours.
Yeah.
and I was like, what are we doing? And then they go and they mow them off in like one day or something.
yeah.
Like, and we're like, oh, all right. Well, that's how that went.
And see, Jake, there was nobody to go to in those days.
Yeah.
There was no Tony the Pratt.
Yeah.
Not in those days. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, so it
well,
was
we
one
barely
of those.
had cameras.
Yeah.
I mean, you had they were 35 millimeter, and you could get the 1 hour photo done.
I tell people this all the time. If I could have met who I am now back then, I could have saved about 10 years
Yeah.
of fooling
least.
around, wasting my time, you know?
Yeah.
And now the concept of the way we hunt now, we've had for a solid 20 plus, you know?
And so I think sometimes too, obviously, I'd say you're both patient, and we'll talk about some of that on the hunting side of it. But I think there is
Sure.
patience in terms of taking a property that take no offense to this, was a zero.
Not at all.
Was
Yeah.
a zero to a hero, and that happened through time
Yep.
and energy. And I think a lot of land buyers, want to snap the finger and have the hero where it takes time. So
Yeah.
what, over all the years, what do you think most farms can be fixed? Because I feel like most farms have, a few things that could be wrong. Maybe it's not in a great neighborhood, or maybe there's not enough food. Maybe there's you can make up 1,000 things on a list, but in reality, there's probably like 5. So for someone that's looking to buy something, what cannot be fixed to where they need to run the other direction?
You know what I tell some guys that haven't bought land? I say, come to my class. Come see what I do and how I do it. Because if you walk my property and you see my layout, how I do this, and you go to a property, you'll know what to look for.
Yeah.
I said, otherwise, if I ask you, you could be a great hunter, and I ask you, hey, what's that property look like? I don't know. I guess it looks okay. You don't know, do you? No, I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
So you can buy a piece, and then after you've had it for 5 years, realize it's not very good.
Yeah.
Or you can't make it good.
And you lose 5 years.
Yeah. So there's a lot to learn from somebody that's been there and done it hundreds and hundreds of times,
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if I could have met who I am, oh man, I could have saved
Let
a
me
lot
ask
of
you
time.
this. If you knew what you knew now and you had a budget to buy 40 acres, would you have bought this farm? Take all the sentimental, remove
Yep.
all of the emotion out of it.
I'll tell
West
you this.
access. I looked at this on Onyx on the way here, and I was like,
Yep.
man, it's west access.
Yep.
The cabin's down below.
Yep.
Like, admittedly, I was like, I wouldn't buy this farm. And that is not meant to be
And
mean
here-
whatsoever. But it's just like west access, cabins below. You have the hill overlooking you, and you guys have had phenomenal success. So that's the basis of it. Like, number one, I wouldn't like.
You know what?
It would deter buyers. If you want to know where property boundaries are for public or private, you want to develop a great plan for your farm, document perfect access to a blind, to a tree stand, carve out and measure food plots, connect your Moultrie trail cameras to an app that shows exactly where they're at, and you can look at the feed for that specific camera location, then Onyx is something you need to check out. It is the only mapping software I use when it comes to deer hunting. I've tried other pieces of software, different apps, and I always go back to Onyx because I think it is the most comprehensive, easy to use, and robust mapping software there is when it comes to hunting and land ownership. You want to send a pen to a friend, boom, send it to them right to text, opens it up. Maybe you have notes, maybe you have pictures on that pin, transfers all of it. You want to send a whole entire folder of a plan that you mocked up, you can do that on Onyx. So be sure to check out Onyx. They are a huge supporter of the Land Podcast. They allow us to travel around and talk to some folks that can give you really good insight and good information no matter where you're at in your process of buying land. Let's get back to the conversation.
You know why you went to bought it?
What's that?
Because you don't hunt like I do.
I don't.
See?
You have 2 stands on here.
That's the thing. My concept is so different. Even Phil Lincoln that you interviewed said the same thing. I do this different than everybody else. And if I took 50 people out here and you could eliminate everything I've done and just the land itself, no one would hunt it the way I do. They just don't. They don't understand my concept. But if they come and they walk my property and I show and tell it, the light bulb goes off. Wow, you've got this set up really
So you would
well.
buy this farm again?
You know what? I've done so many properties. I still like my place better than everybody else's. I just do because it's so down pat. And they come to the class at the end of the day. Lots of guys say to me, "What you do, there's no luck, Jeff." I said, "I know that. I try to get it across to people. I'm stacking the odds the way I do this so high that you're gonna have success. It's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
There's really not a lot of luck involved in it. Hunting the right days, hunting the right location every time.
Yeah.
It's 90%.
Well,
You're
you
gonna
know what
kill 'em.
I think too? That I think a lot of hunters forget to like put themselves in the shoes of the
yes.
animal. I feel like
okay.
you have always put yourself in the
I'm
mindset
glad she said
of
that.
if I was a deer, yep, I know I'm a human. If I was a deer, what the heck would I be doing and why?
Mm-hmm.
And trying to like understand that psychology a little bit more.
Yes.
Because like growing up, he would always be talking that way of like, if I was the buck, we're gonna try, and we're gonna build a sanctuary. And I remember being like, what's a sanctuary, Dad? Like, can we still go in it?
It's
Like
Minneapolis,
when?
I think.
Yeah. And like you started like putting all these kind of
So
like
let's say it this
rules
way.
together of your system.
Let's say it's this way. When I first started, you know what my initial thought was? Stop thinking like a hunter. I hunted old school just like everybody else.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
said, if I was a 5-year-old buck, what would make me live here or not live here? Number one, I have to have the proper cover, not just spring and summer, but I have to have it in the fall and the winter. Number two,
Yeah.
I want food sources nobody else has got. So I was planting chestnut trees 25 years ago.
And you
Nobody
said
even
some of them are
talked
40 or
about
50
that.
foot tall now. Yeah.
Yeah. Nobody talked about persimmon. Oh, what is a persimmon? I started doing them 9 years ago.
And you get them to live up here.
Been here 9 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Through every winter.
Yeah.
So see?
Well, you took me in the woods, and I remember we were just standing there, and you're like, if you were a deer, would you bed here? Would you be here? Like, look at these woods. Like, we got to do something about this. And you started experimenting.
Yeah.
And I was kind of along for the ride. And one thing you haven't talked about are like our ground rules.
Oh, yeah.
What's the rules of a 40-acre farm here?
I've had this
the
from
Helmers?
day one. You guys all know, if you've hunted for a long period of time, how well deer can pattern you, right? So I said, okay, if we put this cabin here, I'm going to make it so I'm going to have a rule that I will not go beyond this cabin before 10 o'clock in the morning to do any work out here. And I will not usually work past 2 o'clock, occasional 3. 3's the dead end limit. You see people, they're putting their plots in all the way till dark. I don't do any of that stuff. And the reasoning behind it, my thought was, because I got to be honest, if I'm up on Kate's biggest field, which is probably a little over 2 acres, those deer can see that field from our sanctuaries, okay? When they see me work out there all the time consistently, and I'm in that window and I leave at the end of the day every single time, after a while, I am not a threat to them. They realize this guy ain't going to walk in the woods. We can sit here and observe everything he does. He's not coming in here.
Mm-hmm.
And after a while, they just get so used to that routine of mine. You were here today and you seen a buck right out the back, right on the hillside.
I know, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? These deer are used to me.
Yeah.
I think they know what I smell like. I'm here so much. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean I'm in the timber, but I'm here. I'm always here. And they see me. They associate that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's a different concept.
What do you say to people that have, come to your class and maybe they live 3 miles away and they have a cabin on their farm? Or, I mean, if you're not able to condition them, what do you do?
Every property and every situation is different. Every time I go to a property, I ask a lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
How many people hunt here? Do you bow hunt? Do you gun hunt? There's just so many variables. So I like to get all this information from a client before I tell him what I want him to do,
Mm-hmm.
because he might have a completely different situation than what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? So I kind of try to curtail that to their situation.
Right.
Okay?
I think asking them, like, what are your goals?
Yeah.
What is
are
your goal?
What do
Because
you-
your
what do you wanna
goals
do?
might be different than our
Mhm.
goals.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
So for someone that, what is your guys' buyer's checklist? Because a lot of people that listen to this, they either already own a farm or they're saving up to buy their first farm. Obviously very scary. You deal in real estate. Like, there's so much emotion that goes into purchasing anything of a large size, and they want to make sure they're doing it right. So give them some
Okay.
guidelines, guardrails, or reassurance that
Okay.
even if it doesn't have, because the themes that come up on this podcast all the time is typically access a neighborhood. If I had to pick 2 things, they're like, you got to be in the right neighborhood and you got to have good access.
Mm-hmm.
Neighbors make a bearing on what you're going to kill for the size of age class of deer. But as far as just to look at the property itself without the neighbor situation, basically I'm looking at, where can I build a sanctuary? Because I'll be honest, in my opinion, if you don't have a sanctuary, you're not going to kill deer very consistently, and you just won't. You won't get enough daylight opportunities. Okay, so I'm going to look at, where can I build a sanctuary? Where can I build my food sources? And where's going to be my entry and exit onto that property?
Mm-hmm.
That's so important. Those are the 3 things that I look for
Mm-hmm.
every single time.
So think of 10 random farms. How many of them check off those boxes? So the point being, like, is that buyer's checklist, how rare is that really for a farm?
Honestly, probably 5 or 6 out of 10
Okay.
are good.
Yeah.
And the other ones, they can be okay. They're just not going to be as good as the others.
Sure.
Every
Mhm.
property's different.
Yeah.
Some of them are just not that good for hunting purpose. Just depends on how the
Right.
layout is,
I think
So-
too that you have taught at your classes really well of like how to manipulate the land to a certain degree
Yes.
and make it what
Yes.
you need it to be in order to kind of get the right layout.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to have some elements that certainly fit, and not every property will have those elements. Some are
Right.
better than others, like you said.
Yeah.
But how can you think outside the box to be creative? If you need cover here, can you make cover? Can you create it? Can you plant? What can you put up? It's 2026.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways
Yeah.
that you can build a wall or cover this or that.
And-
So I think your outside the box thinking is maybe where some people get trapped in their own head a
They can
little
only
bit.
they can only see what's there right now.
Right.
Tell you what I do run into a lot. Most of the people that come to me, the ones that I really like the most are guys that haven't hunted that much and they have more of a clean slate.
Sure.
They don't have this ritual of everything they do and they think it's the right way to go. It's hard to reprogram someone from hunting old school
Mm-hmm.
because they go to a property, they look and see this trail going to this hillside, and they're thinking about where they're going to hang a tree stand already. That ain't what I do. I don't do it that
What do
way.
you do?
I make it so my deer come to me. I
Right.
don't chase my bucks. See, everybody. Well, I'll give you an example. I had a client that called me last Friday, I think it was, and he's got 80 acres, and he's talking to me, and I'm listening, and I said, "Answer me a question. How many stands do you have in that 80 acres?" 15. I went, "Ooh," and he goes, "What's that mean?" I said, "Do you honestly think you can have 15 stands on that place and those deer aren't going to figure out that you're there?" "Oh, I got perfect entry and exit for every one."
Yeah, that's a stretch.
Man, I said, "I'm not trying to burst your bubble. I'm not trying to make you feel bad." I said, "You know what's going to happen with you? You go ahead and implement that plan. Somebody help them do this." They set it all up. I said, "Over time, it's going to get worse and worse
Mhm.
because these deer are going to figure you out." and you're
That's the
jumping around.
reality for a lot of people. They
It
they
is.
save up, they buy this farm, they have these dreams and visions of how amazing it's going to be, and maybe it's solid for the first year or two, and
Yep.
then it just progressively gets worse. And I mean, there's a bunch of different factors that go into that, but I'd say sometimes it's the man in the mirror that oftentimes is a big root of that, which is hard. It's hard for people to admit.
It is. And another thing I run into is people, if they have the withal or the energy to want to make their property better, they'll be planting trees and putting in ponds and food plot, but it's all random.
Mm.
And then they wonder why they can't kill them. I said, "You've made it so your deer numbers went up and you made it easier for the deer, but harder for you."
Yeah.
I said, "Now you
Right.
can't kill them because they're just basically working around you." Setup is everything, you guys. If you can't do it, it's going to be tough.
What's the best wind on this farm to hunt?
Same one every time. I set this place up so that I'm hunting high percentages every time.
So,
What is a high percentage hunt? Northwest wind every time.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm looking for a 15 to 20 degree drop or more. When I get that, I can almost guarantee you that buck's going to either be at her stand or my stand every time.
Yeah.
If I miss, it'll be the next day.
Because I sell land for a living. That's how I'm able to pay my bills. And
Let me put it this way to you. I'll explain this more. If my sanctuaries are to the east side of my property and my stands are on the west that you talked about,
Yeah.
I have a quartering wind like this. My deer are coming like this right to me,
Mhm.
but my wind's going over here. None of them can smell me.
Yeah.
And they walk right. People ask me, "How do you get the deer from that end of the field down to here?" I said, "I'm hunting on a northwest wind every time. They're always going to walk this way. They walk with it to their nose every
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's like that's
But-
what it's like."
But people overall, I want to have a spot for a west wind, a south wind, a southeast wind, a northeast wind, a north. Like everyone wants all these different options. And what you're saying is you just need
Think about this.
two
once.
really good spots
Okay.
on high good conditions.
Think about this once.
Mhm.
If you're a 5-year-old buck living on the property and that guy's jumping on all these spots, you don't think he's going to know you're there at some point or smell you or
Oh,
see
for
you
sure.
or hear you?
Absolutely.
Okay, now take my place. That 5-year-old buck, he doesn't see me at all. He doesn't hear me at all. Nothing. All of a sudden, one day, I'm in the stand out of the blue. I have a stand that my wind's blowing completely away from him, but he's walking right into me. He has no idea I'm there,
Mhm.
and it's over just like that.
So the real question is, do you like to hunt or do you like to try to kill the deer as efficiently as possible?
I want to kill the best buck on my place, and I want to kill a buck that I have history with.
Yeah.
I think it's just the most interesting. To me, if you can do that each and every year, Katie's done it for 20 years. To me, it's unreal.
Yeah.
I still think to myself, man, when I started, if you'd have told me we were going to kill all these deer, I said, there ain't no way we're going to kill this many deer. I find it amazing to myself, even what I've been able to do on this place. But it's been a process over time. I've learned from my mistakes and I kept adapting. Nobody would hunt this property the way I do, in my opinion, because they're not hunting the same way I am.
Yeah.
Right.
So some of the guys that have come to the class are like, well, it's September and I just get the itch to get out.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do I do?
Tell them go somewhere else and hunt for a while.
Yeah.
Save your place.
Or there's been some guys that have just made like an early season stand or something like they can take their kids out to just to get out on the edge. Yeah. So like your question, like, what do you like to do? We just really like to kill the big buck and we'll just sit in the cabin until we do that.
See, when I hunted all those states, I hunted 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days. I'd be in the stand an hour before light. I'd leave a half hour after dark for days and days. I liked hunting.
Yeah.
But you know what? I learned there's a way better method what I'm doing now than I was then.
Yeah.
Way better. I don't have to hunt all them days. I could just hunt the best days. And you know what? My days of hunting, they're fabulous because I'm seeing the buck I want and I'm killing them.
Yeah.
What better days can you have? It's better than going out there for 3 days and not seeing him at all. And then you're like, oh, man. And the other part is the more those people hunt like that, the more they lose their drive to go because they don't feel like they're going to kill that
They start
buck.
getting lazy,
They
start
do.
making mistakes.
Yeah.
and-
Yes.
Yeah.
So you might say we're slightly competitive.
I would have never guessed, honestly. I just wouldn't have guessed.
It's like a family trait.
There's just something about it. By not hunting this property very much, these deer love it here because there's nobody walking around. There's no pressure. They got the best food. They got the best car. It's the best property out here.
Yeah. What about you've brought up multiple times trees, chestnuts, apple trees. They cost a lot of money and take a long time. Is it worth it?
Yes. I would tell you this, okay? At our 2 stands that we talked about, that's the only place my deer can get chestnuts, apples, pears, plums, persimmons, and my food plots. So I'm only giving them 2 places to go.
So there's 2 spots on your farm that have all of those ingredients.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
So before Katie had kids, when we pick a target buck, she sits hers, I sit mine, killing one sit every time. There's nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple, ain't it?
Yeah.
I mean, you're okay. And you're also hunting on the right day. You're already in the right location.
They have all the does. All the does are already there.
Mm-hmm.
So you see, there's no luck in it. It's all about the process.
Out of those varieties of species you just mentioned, what's your favorite?
I would say the pears I like a lot. And man, I tell you, chestnuts, it's getting bigger and bigger all the time for me. Some of my trees are huge. I'll talk about this real quick. A lot of people always talk about the October lull, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have an October lull.
Well, you're not pressuring them and they got food all the way through.
No, that's not even it. You know what it is? Nobody even knows this. Nobody figures this out but me.
I'm excited.
Okay.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
I say, think about this once. When everybody else says there's an October lull, what that is that's acorns in the woods mostly dropping
yeah,
during
okay.
that stage,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
But you've heard it before, and I'm going to tell you something you already know. Chestnuts are desired 100 to 1 over acorns. So if my 2 spots have chestnuts, I don't care what everybody else got for acorns. My deer have to come and offer me a shot opportunity at those 2 locations because
Mhm.
that's where the chestnuts are.
How many chestnut trees do you have on here?
Let me think. Let's say I got around 50.
50.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've planted some chestnuts.
When do they drop?
No, like when's peak attraction for them? And how long do they last too?
Well, it depends on how big the trees are.
Sure.
Mhm.
But usually I've documented all this stuff. I got a logbook that I've documented everything in the last 30 some years.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you everything I've ever planted. I can tell you where. I can tell you when, what kind. That's so valuable because I can always look back. If I get a normal year, rainfall normal, October 6th when they start at my place.
Mm-hmm.
The 5th or 6th of October, they start dropping, and they'll drop all the way through the month.
Okay.
Now, if I get a dry year, let's say I don't get no rain, they'll drop 2 weeks earlier.
Mm.
Same with the acorns. They do the same thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but I like the idea that I have chestnuts that nobody else got. I know they don't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was doing them so long ago. I'm so far ahead of anybody else. My neighbors doing it.
Yeah.
Because I even got pear trees that are 25 feet tall.
Yeah.
So my goal really was with the food to have so much food at some point the deer can't eat it all. That's
Mhm.
what I was after.
Mhm.
And I'm close. My chestnut trees just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I'm still planting trees. Even though
Sure.
I'm 62 years old. Katie and the grandkids are going to get benefit more and more from it. Generally, they take 3 to 4 years to produce, sometimes 2. I actually had a guy last year produce the very first year.
Wow.
Year one. Crazy, huh?
That is
Like, wow. So yeah, it's fun. And it's kind of neat. They call me up and they're all excited. They got their first chestnut, you know?
yeah. Buckland Funding. If you don't know who they are and you're looking to buy a piece of ground, I encourage you to reach out to them. They're chartered in multiple states across the Midwest, and they understand recreational land. I've said it a million times here on the podcast. The most important piece of buying your first piece of ground is finding a partner, finding a bank that understands what you're trying to do, that has competitive rates and understands the world of recreational land, because not all banks are created equal, and Buckland Funding understands our crazy goals of scooping up a piece of ground to enjoy it with family, to hunt it, to use it as an investment. They understand that and work with that every single day. I encourage you to reach out to them. If you're in the process of buying your first or 20th farm, reach out to Buckland Funding at bucklandfunding.com. Back to the conversation. As far as, let's say someone has bought their first farm in the last year, or maybe 5 years ago, and they've had a paralysis analysis. They just don't know what to do. What's the easiest wins potentially for someone? And this is not this. I know behaviorally, it's have one or two really good spots and stay the heck out of your farm. But people like to tinker. So entertain me for a second. What projects are the least amount of work, highest amount of reward? Because unfortunately, that's what we all want.
Building a stand location is the most important thing they could do.
Yeah.
Katie was a kid. You know this. Okay, you take her field, it's 2 acres. For her to judge a buck coming in and trying to guess the distance, an open field is so hard to tell if it's 15 or 20 or 25. 30. So I had an apple tree that I planted at 15 yards. I put her water hole at 15. Any buck that comes in, point and shoot. You don't have to guess the distance.
Mm-hmm.
Take that away, right? So there's little things like that. And by stacking all these different food sources at one location, you're giving your spot draw power. That's really what you're doing, you know. But also, like you asked about, you have to build some type of a bedding area somewhere, because if you're going to target bucks, they got a bed there.
Yeah.
If they don't, you're not going to get a very many opportunities. So,
what? Okay, I'm going to play a different game for you. I'm the bank. Okay. I'm going to give you $1 million, 1% interest.
What would I do?
No, you have to. Are you going to take the money to go buy a bigger farm? Because right now it's like you have a very good setup. You have decades of work.
I got everything here.
Yeah, and so it's
done.
like, would you have the appetite, or have you ever had the appetite? Like, oh man, like you've mentioned people try to buy this, and like, has it crossed your mind? Like, well, I could sell, and I can go get an 80, a 120, a 200, and how much more success could I have if I had a bigger farm? I'm sure that thought has crossed your mind.
I wouldn't sell this place. I would keep it, and I would buy another place, and I'd play with that.
Yeah,
I would do all the things that I've learned, and I'd build that into something.
How long do you think it would take to get from like a 4 out of 10 to a 7 or 8 out of 10? It's general farm. It doesn't have to be anything special. It doesn't have to like just the run of the mill average farm. It's a 4.
A lot of places, I could get them to be successful in year 1, but it just depends on the place.
Mm-hmm.
But majority, you're probably looking at 3 to 4 years to get them where they're really on the right path and they're going to continue to shoot good deer.
Yeah.
But, if I get a guy that comes in and he's showing me all these big deer he's got, and he's got large landowners next to him, I could do it in year 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just depends on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
What about, neighbors have come up, and obviously you have neighbors here, and you've mentioned, it's everyone has different goals. Have you made progress with neighbors? Or have you just made your farm better to where they just don't get shot as much? Does that question make sense?
Here's what I'll tell you. Take it what it's worth. Everybody always says to me, you can't keep deer on 40 acres, not 24 hours a day. But I can at the right time. And they give me this look like, what do you mean? So let me explain something. The sanctuary that I've built and designed, the way I've done it, I could get these bucks to bed on my place in daylight conditions, okay? When they come to feed on my property, Kate's setup is in the center of our property. I want my bucks to gravitate to the middle of my property, not to the edges of my property. So when they gravitate to the middle and they feed, and then it gets close to dark, after dark, they'll wander the neighborhood, and people will get pictures of them in the middle of the night but they come back because they bet on my place. So they don't get any opportunities hardly ever to kill those bucks.
Mm-hmm.
And I do because they're walking on my place in daylight every day. See? That's
So
the
your
difference.
neighbors just didn't agree to start passing deer. They just don't walk on their farm as much.
My neighbors just basically aren't serious like I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what I'll say.
And there's a lot of like smaller tracks around
Yeah,
us and
yeah.
pressure and gun hunters.
They don't. I don't know. How would I say this? I've tried to, excuse me, be as nice as I can to neighbors and stuff, but I don't know, boy. You know, when you shoot big deer, they think the grass is always greener across the fence.
Well, in this case, it is.
Yeah.
We'll stay on this side.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things that's difficult to deal with. I try to be as good as I can to neighbors, but I just keep to myself. That's what I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I see him, I wave. You know, how's it going? Oh, nice day. Beautiful day. Sun's out.
Yeah.
I don't talk about the deer.
Do you say, hey, you get those chestnuts in the ground yet?
It was funny.
I think, yeah, like you just kind of try to stay in your own lane as much as possible and not worry about what other people are doing or not doing.
Yeah.
You know?
It was funny. I saw a deal from, trying to think of his name. Anyway, Bill Winke. That's what it was. And he had planted a bunch of chestnuts out in this big field. The woods were 100, 150 yards away. Came back to see how they were doing. And they were all gone. They were all dug up and gone. And everybody was commenting on there, all these comments. The squirrels got them. The squirrels got them. They got everyone. Sent him a message. Say, Bill, just from experience, it's not squirrels. Squirrels aren't going to go 150 yards away out in an open field. Well, then what is it? I said, the raccoons dug them up. Really? Yeah, I'm telling you. I said, I've experienced it all the time. Same with when you plant like short needle spruce or pines or any of that stuff. When you first plant them, that fresh dirt,
Yep.
them coons come right to it and they'll dig that root up every time. So he was like, you're the only guy that told me that. I said, well, from experience.
Yeah.
You know?
We one of my summer college jobs, it was for I guess it was a nonprofit restoring wetlands, and we were planting plugs nonstop, and it was like real sandy ground, and I mean, we was planting plants all day. That's all we did. And then you'd go back the next day, and they're all pulled out. There's raccoon tracks there.
So you know what I'm saying? That it's relatable.
Yeah. No, that's pretty darn funny. What about either one of you on just general advice? Because I just feel like so many people kind of just need the final nudge or just permission to make the plunge and make a purchase for land. Because I think you brought up the fact that you wanted to make sure the whole family felt like they're getting use out of it, because it's sometimes it feels a little selfish, but it's like it's still a very good investment.
Yep.
But what would you tell someone just from both of your experience of on paper from the investment, how it's been? It's been a very good one, or from a family perspective, or hey, when we bought this, there wasn't a deer over 90 inches, and now there's, I mean, we saw a great 3-year-old here today.
Yeah. I just say this to my friends that don't own land. I said, listen, let's say you buy something, you have it for 5 years. If you can't afford it, you're never going to lose your money. You got to use it for 5 years and you got all your money back. How much better can it be?
Yeah.
I said, but if you like it and you might keep it 10, 15, and you might never sell it. But you have to experience that to know whether you want to keep something or you don't. And if you never buy land, you'll never know what it's like to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
There's nothing better in the world than owning your own place. Because when I used to hunt all them places, all them states, and this happened in Iowa, I hunted there 6 times the last time I hunted Iowa. And every single time, the last 15 to 20 minutes, somebody walked underneath my tree. A different guy every single time. And I said to the guy, why are you walking around? This is how I hunt. I said, these deer left 10 minutes ago. They seen you from a long ways away. It frustrated me to get all my spots wrecked by other people. So I said, if I buy my own place, I'll never have to do that.
Yeah.
When I'm out there, nobody's out there. I like it. And here's the other part too. If you own your own land and you have family like my daughter or my kids, it's safe. You don't worry about somebody shooting that you don't know exists.
True.
You know what I mean? This is the safest it could ever be.
Yeah.
And I told you earlier, Katie don't hunt out of a tree stand. I don't want her to worry about falling. This stand, if she falls asleep in the chair, all she does is hit the floor on the carpet. So she's going to be okay.
I don't think it's me falling asleep in the chair. I think it's you.
You? Yeah, probably.
What about you from your real estate perspective? You've sold ground before. Like,
Yeah.
What advice do you have from someone?
Yeah.
Like I'm calling you, hey, I found this piece. I'm pre-qualified.
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Well, I agree with what you said. I think I feel like some people doesn't cross their mind like you don't have to keep it forever.
Yeah.
You know?
No.
And with land, they're not making any more of it. It holds its value. You're going to get all your money out of it if you decide it's not what you want to do. And you'll probably make some.
And you're going to learn a lot too.
Well,
on
yeah.
what you want on the next one.
I mean, if you only kept it 5 years, look at the appreciation in the last 5 years. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Here's something she said to me. I said to her first, I said, I don't think I'm ever going to run out of money. I said, we've been a saver, your mom and I, our whole life, but what if I get to be 80 years old and I run out of money? I got to sell that place. She says, Dad, I will never be able to buy a place like that ever again. They don't come up for sale like this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I know. On this kind of a investment without being, $1 million deals.
Yeah.
So I said, I understand. Yeah, I understand. You know what she said then? If you run out of money, I'll just give you some.
And I'll buy it.
She goes, I'll just
Slowly
buy it
spend
from you. You sell it to me cheap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 0% interest. We don't pay any interest in this family.
So, and I get all these letters or calls, people wanting to know if I want to sell the property. And I said, listen, this is a generational property. What's that mean? It means it's never going to come for sale.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I think a
okay.
lot of people nowadays too aren't like playing the long game in a lot of things. Everything is so like we want the instant gratification.
Yeah.
So if you can go against the grain a little bit in the long game in your head and have some more patience,
Yes.
it's going to pay off.
Mhm.
It'll like tenfold itself, like him.
Yeah.
And see, my thought is this. Someday when I am gone, Katie can tell you every buck in here. She can tell you what year we shot it, pretty much probably the date and the time
Mhm.
and the name. That's something she'll have when I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's pretty. There's a picture over on our wall over there. And that one buck is not from here.
Okay.
I'll tell you that. That one buck is not. That's the last.
Oh, here I've been saying. Now I'm just
No,
kidding.
it's
One
okay. It's a buck that my dad killed
Uh-huh.
in 1986.
Wow.
And there's a picture below it with Katie. She's about a year and a half old.
Mm-hmm.
That's the last picture I ever took of my dad.
Wow.
And that's Katie back then, a
That's
little
pretty
kid.
special. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's super special.
So now I've actually taken her daughter, held her up to one of my bucks, and taken a picture.
That's fun.
We have a few of them.
That's really fun.
So you see what I'm saying? Sentimental stuff, yeah, it's big to me. It is. I
mean,
just
it's at the end of the day, like that's really
Well,
that's what it's
and
all about.
Yeah.
to your question too of like a client calling you up, right? Okay, so I have my down payment and I have whatever savings and pre-approved all these things. One thing that I always recommend to clients is like, what is the value that you're putting on something yourself, right?
Mhm.
Whether it's the home or the hunting land, the property, like there's value you're putting on that and only you can determine that value. No one else can. I can't answer that question for you.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
want to go over on this offer?
Yeah.
Would you be upset if you lost it? Then maybe it is $10,000 worth
Yeah.
10,000 more.
Yeah.
But only you can answer that question.
Yeah.
It's like we have to value things ourselves too.
And it's just like these deer heads. You pay $1,000 to have one mounted. Go to sell it, you're probably going to get 150 or 200 for it, right?
It's there's no price to you for
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just depends on what you want to do.
Any other advice? I mean, we have young. I mean, I get emails from guys that are 15, 16 years old saying, "Hey, I'm trying to save up by my." I love that.
Yeah.
People are like,
Yeah.
"Oh, man, I'm going to save up any tips." And I'm like, dude, you're light years ahead of most folks.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
for either the younger version of one of yourselves in relation to real estate and land, what's something maybe that you wish you knew because you mentioned like, oh, if I met me now, it would have saved me 10 years or whatever the case may be. But from like the raw land real estate perspective, like, oh, I wish I would have bought more, like anything like that.
I would tell you this. I'm happy with my 40, but if this was an 80, I could shoot another 10 to 15 inches bigger bucks overall on average
Mm-hmm.
if I had a little more land, because then I could save more bucks. It's all about trying to save more for me.
Yeah.
Buy this small property. I was telling you earlier, I got 6 bucks that were here all summer and all fall. All 6 of them are still here. That's the first time that's ever happened.
Yeah.
I'm ecstatic over it because this is going to be a great fall this fall. You know what I mean? Like, I'm excited about it, you know? And maybe I can take a couple of them and even make that jump and make it through next year. So I got something even bigger again.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
think
trying.
starting small. It's like all the, the big goals and the world of social media now, right? It's got to be Instagram worthy on everything or it's not worth it. Saving up to buy 10 acres.
It's a big deal.
It's
Just
a start.
get started.
It's a
big deal.
start. You can always buy more. You could sell it. You could add on to it. I think the start, because most people do start small, but we always like to look at the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's all the deer.
Yeah.
Right. But like, if we could just go back to like 95 or go back to 2000 and have this interview then, right?
Well, and
Patience.
there's a lot of things relatable to that. Just like building wealth, it starts small. You don't just start out with $100,000.
Yeah.
Compound interest.
You just keep adding to your pile, and you just keep making that grow.
Consistent.
You do the same thing with property. Get something bought and get a start. If you don't like what you got, you can sell that and continue to go as you go. You know what I mean? So, but I will say this, owning property, this is one of the best things I've ever done and one of the best experiences I've ever had. It's been a lot of fun. When everybody says you can't do it and you do it, it's pretty satisfying. I catch myself sometimes in the day looking around thinking, man, did I ever think this was going to happen? No.
Right.
Did I hope? Well, hell yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you just can't project that that's going to be the way it's going to be. You plan it and you try. And now that I'm here, I'm just like, it's been a pretty good run. I can't complain. No, I don't have 180, 90, 200 inch bucks. But you know what? I don't have a big investment either. I don't have any debt. I got this little 40-acre place with my nice little cabin. It's good enough for me.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have some more podcasts here to record. Real quick, in case people don't jump onto the Whitetail podcast that will go live tomorrow, that's going to be more about habitat and a variety of different questions regarding that. But anything else you guys want to wrap it up with? I know you have some classes coming up. How would people get a hold of you for that? And then
I have whitetail classes coming up. The first one is March 20th, which is a Friday, 21st. And then I have them for 3 more weekends like that. And you guys, I do about everything. I have a seed company. I sell all these trees that I talked about. I do properties for people around the country. About everything. I'm a one-man band. I got a lot of irons and a lot of fires, but I like what I do and it's enjoyable. And I love meeting the people and different perspectives from all across. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like meeting you the first time. It's all good.
Yeah.
You make so many friends in this industry. It's just all up to you what you want to do.
that's right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Anything? How can they get a hold of you if they're looking to buy 40 acres with a cabin?
Cross County. Yeah. Trumpeau County. I would say you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Google, Remax website. I'm on social media, sharing all sorts of things from real estate to hunting to children to venison recipes, the whole 9 yards.
I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for inviting us here into your corner of the world. I got a deer looking at me right now. I just made eye contact with the deer out the window.
they walk through the yard all the time.
Yeah. So no, thank you guys so much, and we got more podcasts to record. So
Okay.
I encourage everyone to go check out those out, and then like I said, the Whitetail Cribs episode will go live this fall. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.